Anjali, do you know we picked your name out especially for you? From the moment we saw you, we knew we needed a special name for a special girl.
Would it help if I said it? She says ever so gently. She hesitates. Do you think you might be gay?
It's for you.
Es para ti. And so they were married, because worm loves worm.
Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise.
The first words that were sent down to Prophet Muhammad when God commanded him to become messenger was read.
Growing up, reading made me feel amazing.
Alive, it made me feel like I could travel anywhere, no matter what room I was in.
I remember my mom would say to me, you have to go outside, and get some air and run around. So I'd go outside and sit on the steps and read my book.
It felt like the world was endless in a way, like there were just so many things that I could do, I could be, but always wondering whether one day I'll see a character that looked like me.
I didn't have a lot of books growing up that would have helped me figure out who I was.
The time that I was growing up in the 60s, there were lots of representations of Black people that was not flattering.
There was a very limited amount of books that showed me as the main character, that didn't show me as, sadly, the slave or the freed slave.
The subtle message that you get when you see no books that are about you is that your story doesn't matter, your voice doesn't matter, your story has no value.
And so when you're excluded from having those images, it's almost like a message is being sent that says you don't count.
It wasn't until much later, until I was in college, that I really started connecting with other Latinx characters in books. And so I am so grateful for having a son who I read with all the time, that there are so many more opportunities for him to explore his culture through books.
Something for me, Mr. Panda?
Algo para mí, Señor Panda?
It wasn't until a few years ago, to be honest, where I started to realize that, hey, there are authors who are now starting to write books, illustrate books that had representation. She knew there was greatness in not being one of the crowd and vowed to always be Anjali.
There are books that I read to my grandchildren now that I'm particularly interested in, that encourage the power of just being whoever you are, and that is beautiful in and of itself. Books about loving your hair. The hair love is one that I particularly like. I read to my granddaughter, that just talks about embracing who you are and just being happy with who you are, and that's a beautiful place to be.
This is a poem that was given to me when I was going through some really hard things in my life, where I felt that I was definitely not being appreciated and respected for things that were out of my control, my gender and my race and who I am. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide.
When you come out, it can be very lonely. The more diversity that you have in stories, especially when I was a kid, if I had seen that more often, I feel like, it maybe wouldn't have taken me until college to be like, whoa, what is all of this? How can we be brides bees if we don't know who the bride is? I can be the bride, says Worm. I can too, says Worm.
The book that I resonate with recently is a book called The Best at It. It's written by Malik Pancholi. Seeing a South Asian gay character as the protagonist was eye-opening to me, refreshing, and so I wanted to see it through. Tears start to spill out of my eyes, and I scrunch up my face to try and stop them, but I can't. I bury my face in my hands, and somehow I managed to nod. I feel like 12-year-old Steven would be so grateful to read this, probably under the covers, but I would just be really happy to see something like this.
It becomes easier when you get your hands on a book that really inspires you.
It's really important for young people to see themselves represented in books and in media, so they feel like they have a sense of self-worth, right? So they feel like their voice is being heard.
We don't only search out books that represent our family, but books that represent a multitude of families.
Doesn't mean that we're going to change the world overnight, but if you could just move the needle just a tiny bit, at least we're just having the conversation.
So for us, it's an opportunity to have a discussion with our son and have like teachable moments. And then there's just like super fun opportunities to be silly and read about Captain Underpants.
We live in a society that's very diverse. I'm proud to be a Muslim, I'm proud to be an American, and I'm proud to be living in the Lehigh Valley. By reading, I feel that we can improve as a community, we can improve as parents for the betterment of our future and for the future of our children.
If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel.
To see more of The Peak TV, check out our website, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and catch us on WFMZ Channel 69.